This is Everything is Personal with Len May.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Everything is Personal. As always, my co-host, my Robin to my Howard, wearing an awesome super vinyl hat and another cool shirt, Mr. John Small. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm also your Robin to your Batman, I think.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm everything there for you. I'm your support man, your wingman.
Yeah, I'm excited today, man. We have a special guest.
Love it when we have guests.
I know, it's great. Our guest is joining us from the East Coast, where I heard there was a snowstorm. My dad showed me, he sent me pictures of snow. And I'm like, are you going to shovel that? My dad's like 75. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to shovel it in little patches. So we'll do the steps first. I'm like, please make sure that you get back in time and like, cool down. Don't overexert yourself. Because that snow looked heavy, man. It looked like a lot dropped. So
yeah, we in New York City, we did. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I didn't introduce you yet, but thank you for it. Anyway, my friend, we're very disorganized. Voice. It's okay. Yeah. So that mysterious voice that just joined is my dear friend, Matthew Evertsen. And Matt, welcome to the show. I'm going to just give you our audience a little brief intro, but I will not do justice. So you can kind of give your own intro, but I'll just tell everybody how we sort of met. So Matt invited me several years ago. I don't even remember how many years ago, but he was putting on him and his partner, his friend, Rodell at that time, we're putting on a show in Vegas called the Vegas Cannabis Summit, if I'm not mistaken. At the same time, he was doing the Vegas Music Summit. So I was like, if I'm saying that correctly too, my memory is a little foggy of the time. It was a really good experience. We had a lot of fun. And I'll tell you a memorable moment that I had where, he gave me an opportunity to speak, which I really appreciate. And it was very early on in the launch of, our business Endo. So it was a really good opportunity for me to get exposed. I had a really good interaction with Evan Britton there, who I got to be friendly with, who was on our show. And that's all due to the Vegas Cannabis Summit and Matthew. And then also they invited us to a special concert. If I remember this correctly, it was at the MGM and it was Mati's Yahoo, who was opening up for UB40. That was an impressive show. So that's my memory of our meeting. And Matthew, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Len, for having me. It's great to be here, Jonathan. Thank you as well. It's a pleasure to be on Everything is Personal. Definitely a fan of the show and happy to be here as a guest this evening. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Terrific. Brother. Do you want to give our audience like a little bit of an overview, background-wise?
Sure.
About yourself.
Yeah. So as Len mentioned at the time, the year I believe was 2017 or 18 that we launched the Vegas Cannabis Summit, and we, as Len had mentioned, Rodell was my partner and co-producer in that. So we started doing events, really just geared on trying to help transition both the legal and illicit operators in the space towards understanding their messaging and storytelling and impact, and being able to be, safely and securely transitioned into mainstream. With the focus, of course, on health and wellness. And as you mentioned, Eben Britton, the amazing former NFL player, and his journey to recovery, and, understanding the power of storytelling and the people that are behind it, and being able to change people's minds. An event producer for many years in trying to bring the messaging of cannabis, ending the stigma and anti-prohibition around the plant for many years between Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and New York City. Also, for many years before that, was creative director in music supervision, so sourcing and placing music throughout a number of different ads from fashion and beauty companies from like 2011, and from before that was all mostly like live music stuff, from producing rock shows here in the city at clubs like Webster Hall, back to early days where I'm from, upstate New York, at a club called Ballinger's, and then Savannah's and the Dublin Underground. So yeah, so from music to cannabis and events to happily joining you gentlemen this evening on a winters.
This is it. This is the
Thursday
pinnacle
night.
of your career right here.
Hey man, I'm happy to be a guest anywhere. Really,
And it's a pinnacle for two things. Think about it this way, John. Like, we talk about most cannabis and music, right? We throw
true.
in some science and
You're very
business,
on brand for us.
right?
You're very-
Exactly.
yes.
Like it's cannabis and
Right?
music, right? It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I really, really, appreciate the opportunity. And you were talking about you're in New York, so you had some snow
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, just this past night, it's like really the first, I'd say, official fall for us down here in the city. At least I'm in Brooklyn currently, so I can't speak for all of upstate. But this was our first like for real legit covering, and
And it was like warm there just a few days ago, and then you guys.
oh man, last weekend was beautiful. In fact,
Yeah.
it was like 60 degrees. My brother was playing music on this at a spot in the East Village. It was like, it was a beautiful weekend. It was rare for any kind of celebration these days, but
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
a sunny day above 50 is worth it, right? So we'll take
Exactly.
it.
So in terms of events and all this stuff, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's COVID, obviously. So what happens right now? What is your prediction? I'm just curious in terms of the
Sure.
future of this, because I'll tell you, one of the things I miss most is live music. This is
Absolutely.
something, John and I talk about this all the time. Like we go to shows. I go to shows all the time, probably like once a week, or I used to before COVID. But now I'm like having withdrawal symptoms. There's nowhere to go see live music, man. It's like you're lucky if you hear a guy in the street. I went to Santa Barbara just because they had street musicians that were playing sax and guitar outside.
Yeah.
So I crave that shit. So what are your thoughts?
Well, so fortunately, some of the places, in the city, in contrast to what you guys have been up against, we have had outdoor, dining and a little bit of indoor dining, but there's been, it's nice enough and there's enough space with some of these setups that, there's a little stage at some of them even, you know what I mean?
Right.
And people are able to enjoy that presence of, a small 3 or 4 acoustic piece or a brass band or whatever. But, as far as predictions, man, it's such a challenging thing. I'm trying to work on producing events that would like have a moving target for Q3, Q4 next year.
Wow. Wow.
I think that there's definitely, many different artists trying to, find an alternative to their lack of touring revenue. And it certainly has a huge impact on the industry overall, of course.
Yeah.
From the venues to the touring and production and obviously the talent themselves. But, there's a great opportunity online. A lot of people, there's a little bit of a bottleneck, I think, happening just naturally, just because people are trying to figure out how to transition to a live show online. But, it's such an inherent, important element to our human experience and ability to connect to each other that, of course, music's going to come back, and it's going to come back in a big way. And I think that, especially these festivals, like, that are near and dear to our heart, to, my hearts, and these, like the Governor's Ball locally here to New York, and certain things throughout the country that, it's such an opportunity for the community more than just like the people on stage to come together and like, and, not only enjoy the economic surplus of people coming and spending money on, food and drink and the rest of it, but, being able to share in that celebration. We're really, I'm talking about just earlier with a friend of mine about the folks who've left the city, and there's quite a substantial amount, but yet there's still so many of us here. But I wouldn't want to be anywhere else when this all, when we are able to rejoice and come back and celebrate.
Well, that's what I was going to say, like, if we can hang in there. I was just thinking of this today, like, well, it wasn't totally my original thought, but somebody wrote it and it made me think. So 1918 was the year of the Spanish flu, right?
Yeah.
And look what happened. The roaring 20s, to the 20s followed the Spanish flu is like one of the most fun times in American history, with flappers and great jazz music and
anti-alcohol prohibition.
Exactly.
Like we're going to face anti-cannabis prohibition.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
It's probably all coming. But I also think it's a great time to be, I mean, if we can just wait it out another 6-7 months, I think the live music scene is going to be bonkers. I think, restaurants, everybody, when people can finally feel safe to go out, especially young people, are going to just be going out in droves because we've been so pent up, right? For so long.
So young at heart, right? Like,
what's up with these drive-in?
Yeah.
What's up with these drive-in concerts though? Like, I don't know. If
I went to one.
I haven't been to one. I'm afraid of the the ability of too many people to have a horn, really. But
you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to
like
honk your horn. That was a rule.
Yeah,
I went to one.
So how was
who
your
was it?
Who did we see?
Did you see Sublime?
No, God, Sublime.
Because they had that
incredible bass player that is God, why can't I think of his name? Where's my son when I need him?
Thundercat?
Yeah, it was Thundercat. So I went to a
cool.
Thundercat show.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a little different.
Very cool.
That was, well, he was great, but then he was this is crazy. I can't remember anybody's name all of a sudden. It's because my brain is completely mud. But he was who's the guy who outed Bill Cosby, the black comedian that outed Bill Cosby?
Hannibal Buress.
Buress, right? So it was really a Hannibal Buress show, and but Thundercat was really the star. But I'll tell you, live comedy does not work in parked cars because you can't hear anybody laughing, and there's something about somebody making jokes.
You need that.
You can't hear it, and it was hard for him. It was hard for us as an audience. It's very weird. But the music was great. I mean, you put it up. They had a special station that you would tune into, like on the FM dial, and everybody had their cars open. Dial. People were sitting in the back.
we're back from 1986.
Exactly. You were tuning it in on an FM dial because they couldn't even play it too loud. It was in the Rose Bowl parking lot.
Oh,
and the neighbors would complain if it was too loud. So it was definitely not like going to a real show, but I was just so happy to get out of the house, and my son and his friends were thrilled because they love Thundercat. So that was cool.
Me too. I saw Thundercat and Kamasi Washington play at the Ace Hotel. If you're into kind of an interesting mix of jazz, it's like fantastic. These guys together are just phenomenal. So
Kamasi's fantastic.
Yeah, amazing. So Matt, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We do we ask a few questions of our guests. Simple questions. So we'll go through those questions. Just feel free to answer however you want. And then we'll go through that. And then you can talk about where people can find you, any kind of other thing that you want to discuss. And then we'll let you roll for the rest of your evening and enjoy the rest of your wine and whatever else you're having to warm up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So first question is, describe your first experience with cannabis, if you remember.
My first consumption experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did you grow it before you consumed it?
I think I certainly heard about it, or like through like DARE programs or music, or just older people in general. But my first consumption experience was at a friend of mine's house. It was me and him and his older brother and a few guys. Mm-hmm. And I think it's funny how some people talk about their first experience and they don't really know if they were engaged or they remember, getting high or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that we certainly got very high. I remember somebody had just like a one of those, somebody's dad's big like metal steel car that was like with a couch in the back seat, you know what I mean, that we were all hot boxing in the back of. And then we proceeded to do I don't know, maybe this might be everything first or everything personal first.
Everything too personal.
Go for it, man.
Gravity bongs, man.
Nobody's listening. Don't worry about it.
Has anybody talked about gravity bongs yet?
No. What's a gravity?
No.
What that even is?
I've done gravity bongs, but
I'm the uninitiated, so I'm the bong gravity bong.
Yeah, well, it's always the older brother instigating it somehow. Or like
always.
Kids high tonight, but yeah, gravity bong. For your first time is certainly, I think, probably a bit unique in that way, but it's essentially where you take a 2-liter soda bottle and cut the bottom of it off with an adjacent sort of bucket of water, and you make the makeshift piece out of the top there with like aluminum foil with some holes in it, and then create just a vacuum of that whole like 2-liter bottle. And then of course,
so if you move it it up and down, it actually fills the chamber with gravity.
It's like a homemade
fills the chamber.
Yeah. a poor man's bong, I guess, in that
Yeah.
way. But it certainly had an impact. And then
Oh,
later,
yeah.
later on,
Hey,
it
as long
was
as
the
it worked.
first time I ever heard of or saw the movie Half Baked. So that was even
Oh, yeah.
more of a better way to like put it all together. You know, got stoned for the first time and watched the Dave Chappelle, Jim Brewer classic.
That is
Yeah.
a classic. Well, did you have a positive experience, or do you remember anything?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really had, I've never really had a terribly negative, psycho, active, overwhelming experience in all my adult years of consumption. So I'm fortunate in that way. I've heard, many other people sort of have that shared experience where maybe they took too much
Yeah.
or don't know what
John.
they were taking.
Yeah,
And,
I'm
well,
like
it's like
waving. I'm like raising my hand. But
Yeah,
I
we-
wonder, Len, I wonder if
Mhm.
Matt has the genetic predisposition to, not have bad,
Well,
like
yeah. Well, we'll have to do. We have
do a
to do.
DNA
I
test,
haven't
huh?
done,
endo-DNA.
I haven't done the endo test.
Yeah,
yet.
when we do Matt's endo DNA test, we will be able to see. But I can assure you that he most likely doesn't have these genetic markers or something that aligns with people that have these um, predisposed genotypes. The one that is activated, you can have that kind of experience, like, especially. And I talked about this before many times about cannabis being the vasodilator. So your heart's going to, beat faster, and it's normal. But with some people that have this predisposition, it really starts freaking them out, and they start having this anxiety and panic.
Totally.
Mhm.
Or also just, especially being on the East Coast with access to, or well, knowledge to where and what you're able to get, for such a long time, it was, a benefit if it was even green, and then from
Yeah.
there, you're, let's just say that the providers weren't maybe the most resourceful or educated as to the
The strain.
indica versus
Yeah, they don't know what,
sativa
what
versus,
cultivar, what strain it is.
Right.
I remember,
Exactly.
yeah,
They were
back
good
in the
with-
day,
Some
if I remember
people,
correctly, it was mostly delivery services in New York, right? It
Yeah.
was like
Still.
still the same thing.
Yeah, well, it's not legal
Well,
there.
there's a medical
Crazy.
program, but it's not
Yeah.
legal. Yeah, it's medical. But I remember, so you get a card and there's a messenger on a bike delivers it. I think HBO has a show about
Yeah.
it.
High
High something.
Maintenance.
high maintenance.
Yeah, there you go.
Matt's there
So-
to fill in all our dementia moments here.
Exactly. So so they bring it, and I remember because when I used to be a distributor, we'll call it, it's Kind Bud, and my Kind Bud was like the BC Bud. When I had BC, like British Columbia, man, that was the best, because otherwise it's pretty shitty. So you had Sour Diesel, which was like the kindest kind, Blue Dream, and your BCs. Everything else was pretty brown back then. So I remember.
Well, I am a fan of the show. I remember listening to you guys talk about going to the clubs on the East Coast and being in New York for that period of time, and like, again, if it was green or if hopefully there was no, I remember when it went from stems and seeds to not having stems and seeds, how monumental of a shift in culture.
Oh yeah,
that was,
You're absolutely right.
And then as in my late teens and early 20s, I went to California and Los Angeles for my first time, and my goodness, like, you mentioned our medical program here in New York. It's nowhere near anything
Sophisticated
we don't have flour, we don't have edibles, it's all very strict. It's very limited options. The places are few and far between. It's quite expensive, but California in the early to mid 2000s was already well beyond, well, especially Los Angeles medical program. But anyway, without getting
it was
terribly sidetracked, but
no, it's absolutely not. It's right on, because so yesterday I had an experience for the first time to have in New York medical cannabis oil from a prescription. So it comes in a little bottle,
like tincture oil.
No, it was a vape
Oil. Sorry,
but it was in a bottle that looked like it was a prescription bottle that just said, what is the THC CBD and you unroll the back of it, and it gives you all the different, like how you would in a pharmaceutical, all the different legal language on it, adverse effects, but it doesn't give you test results, and it doesn't give you terpene profiles. So I'm like, well, what kind of medical product is this when it doesn't give you all the information about it, the product, and it frankly wasn't the best, but I guess that's all you got.
I was going to ask you if you remembered the brand, but we won't if it wasn't the best.
I'd rather even if I'd rather not say the brand, but
agreed.
It can use a little bit of help.
Sure,
for sure.
But well, I wonder, with New Jersey opening up now, and I mean, New York can't be far behind. It's going to take a while to catch up to California. It's a cultural thing, but I think a lot of good growing is going to happen in New York. And
definitely.
We
make good wine, similarly, and they were already producing quality hemp, so it's, as you said, a matter of time. And, there's the bureaucracy to get through. It's sort of been that dangled carrot for many years as far as legalization here in the state of New York. But we're, currently surrounded by legal cannabis and at least access to medical, like, between where every border we touch has
well, you have Jersey, you have Pennsylvania, you have Ohio,
Massachusetts,
Jersey,
Massachusetts, Vermont, Massachusetts, Canada. It's sure. Anyway,
it's around.
All right. So next question is a musical related question.
Yes.
Is there a go-to album or song or what you like to listen to when you consume?
Yeah, that I'll have to echo my brethren Eben's answer, and that answer definitely changes. And for many years, my profession having been so oriented and having to listen to music with intention and purpose, that like I've in my later stages here, I've listen to just such a variety of even like instrumental from jazz and classical stuff, but like to refer back to any one over time is a challenge to answer. I wish I had prepared more for that question.
Well, is there some that you remember, like when you go back and like, oh man,
I'll tell you,
that song makes me
a memory of
a memory of
yes. Well, I will answer exactly that, because you guys I knew that the first question was going to be about my consumption experience, right? Because I had got me thinking about that period of time in my life around, I was probably 14 or 15,
My son's age. That's why I lock up all the drawers.
Are you afraid of him too?
No, actually, I'm not. I'm not really actually afraid, although I kind of feel responsible for it because I have so much cannabis in the house. So I feel like he'd
Do you think he has already?
I don't, he's a musician. He's got all the, you would think, but I feel like I know him well enough to know that he hasn't tried it yet. But I'll
tell my story if you want. My daughter's going to be 16 in the next several weeks. So I can talk about the experience I had. I'll let Matt answer this.
So Matt, you tried when you were 14, 15.
Yeah, there was just to answer the question too. There was a Marvin Gaye compilation that I remember listening to driving around, and it was like shortly after that experience that we spoke about, earlier.
Sounds so much better when
probably
Marvin.
Within like the 9 months after that first experience, where I had learned about after having smoked blunts, right?
Yeah.
And driving around and listening to a record on the appropriate or just enough to be inappropriate volume, and smoking a blunt. And there was this Marvin Gaye compilation that just really was hitting home at that time.
Was it What's Going On?
It was, it would be one of these things I'd have to see the cover of, because it was definitely a compilation. It certainly was not like a released album. It was it was absolutely a greatest hits compilation. But man, it was like and I was fortunate to be exposed to sort of so many of the greats through my parents and stuff growing up, that Marvin was not unfamiliar to me, but just that certain collection of songs at that certain time, with that new thing that
Len, that's somebody we lost too young. Milan and I were talking about doing an episode of artists that we lost too young, which, to give a tease, we're not going to do it this episode, but that is Marvin Gaye, man.
Oh, can you imagine? I want to call in on that one. I don't have to.
You can.
I'll call.
You can call in on that one and offer some, because
we were talking about Yeah, Marvin Gaye. I mean, it's like you getting shot by your dad too, man. It's like it's so crazy.
Yeah,
And we're
that's a
talking
crazy
about
story.
Biggie and how young he was.
Oh God, Biggie or Tupac. Of course, it's hard to say
Yeah.
Biggie without Tupac. But those two guys, particularly, it always struck me still how young. Well, even Marvin or a guy like Otis, like how young these guys
These
were.
guys
I
were
think they were
so young.
all in their 20s.
Yeah.
Like, and like those voices, even now as a I'm 36 and I listen to these voices, they still somehow sound older than me.
I know.
what
I can't still get over the fact
It's
these guys are,
strange. Like
these
Biggie
guys
was
are
only
died,
23,
in their 20s.
24. Like
Easy.
what? He still sounds like
Even
such
John Lennon was 40. Like, I'm older than John Lennon, man. What?
Right.
it's wild. And we just had his anniversary. Happy, like
Yeah.
I don't know if it's happy, but
Oh, anniversary of his death. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, did you grow up with musical parents? You were saying that your parents played all
I
kinds.
think, just fortunate enough to be around parents who appreciated the arts and played us a bunch of different stuff. And like, I've been in the car and changing the cassette from like either my mom or dad driving, and like playing everything from James Brown to like, whatever was out then, if it was like Amy Grant or like CNC Music back. I mean, all of these things that I didn't really have even my own influence to. And then by the time I was old enough to like pick and choose the stuff that I was into, it was like Guns N' Roses and Wu-Tang. So it was like I had always had like a really strong palette of exposure, and from like, my, the Motown, like again, the Marvin stuff, like the Motown and all that soul stuff. My mom was a huge fan of, and the classic rock, of course. So, they're not musicians themselves, but always sort of just put that forward, and of course encouraged my brother and I to be musicians, and had that respect for the arts.
Yeah, great exposure. Yeah, it's John and I always talk about, we try to do the same for our kids, to expose them to everything, and because today's music
now they're exposing me. Yeah,
it's exactly.
It's a beautiful
I was
relationship.
the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm always listening. I'm like, what's new? What's going on? And a lot of it I don't really like, and I don't want to be that old guy like, it's like it's
back in the day.
Music, back in the day it was so. No, I don't want to be that guy, but it's true. Hard. Like the music today, not everything. There's a lot of really, really good music, but man, it's like that Marvin Gaye, and I don't want to go back, but it's. I think it's the emotion that is within you that comes through music. If you're living in Beverly Hills and everything is nice and nothing's really in your life, you don't have those experiences to draw on. And I think that's the difference between some of the older music and some music.
So many of those elements. I mean, like not only the emotional, just like there's not as many stimulation. There's not as much stimulation from your media choices, but then you also have those records where you got a room full of guys actually playing real instruments. It's not one person
with the
creating
sampler
on a laptop or something. No offense to any of those creators, but the energies, it's also why vinyl is still championed, because you can hear the difference of like 4 guys or 5 guys or whoever, women, I mean, musicians playing together on a track versus, a solo single person creating something and sending it off to somebody else to add their vocals or and sending it back. It just doesn't quite have the same. Well, I was gonna say, and I, follow Len on social media, and you're pre-COVID would go to see shows with your dog. I love that. I mean, it's one of the greatest things about my parents was them taking me to see stuff, One of my first concerts was going to see BB King with my mom at I was like 7 or 8,
Oh, wow.
So
the same thing. I would take my daughter and speaking of BB, what an amazing, I don't know if anybody has had a chance to see BB when he was live, but not the stories besides the music, the stories that he would tell with a smile on his face, the shit that he went through. Oh my God. With this is the Black's only water fountain. And he took that all in stride and was such a positive energy. It was such a beautiful thing. So anyway, but
singular artist.
So speaking of concerts and kids, and just kind of a quick segue, like one of my scroll moments. So my daughter, when she was really little, she was a big Justin Bieber fan. She still is, but so her dream was to go to a Justin Bieber concert. And I was like, all right, I'll take you, but you have to go to a real concert first. So I will expose you to real music before you get, not Bieber, nothing against him. And I think he's a talented guy, but it's not the kind of music that really appeals to me on a daily basis, but it's fine. So I ended up taking her to a Alice in Chains and Jane's Addiction concert. So that was the first one we went to.
That's fantastic.
So because we watched Ink Master together, she got to see, she knew who Dave Navarro was, and he blew her a kiss off the stage because she was like the kid there. And she was like, oh my God, him I know. I think she was like 8 maybe or 7. And then one of the guys gave her a pic of the stage. I had her on my shoulders. So yeah, she was a big fan. And then went to see Bieber, and I think Post Malone opened. It was,
That's cool. Jonathan, you mentioned you had seen Thundercat with
my son.
kids. What was the first show that you went to with your son? Do you remember the first show?
Oh man, I have to ask him what it was. I have taken him to so many shows, mainly shows that he wanted to see. Hey Elijah, I thought maybe he was out there. Here's somebody rumbling. I see somebody rumbling out inside the thing.
Text him if you want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's telling me right now. He's been texting me saying, "What's for dinner?" I'm like, dude, I'm doing a podcast. I got. This is what happens when you work from home.
I'm working right now. Yeah.
I know I took him to a fake Beatles concert, which he's never forgiven me for, because it was like somebody was doing Beatles covers at the Hollywood Bowl, and he was like, that was the worst thing. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Well, I was talking to Len that the best concert I think I ever took my son to. First of all, we took him to a Foo Fighters concert. I think that was probably his best concert.
Yeah.
And Dave Grohl. It was Dave Grohl's birthday. He brought out everybody. I mean,
it's the one with David Lee Roth and everybody.
Yeah, he had like David Lee Roth. He brought out like
in LA. It was
in LA, and we had crazy seats. We were sitting right next to Gwen Stefani for some reason. It was like seats I just had gotten that night. I don't know why we were sitting next to Gwen Stefani and Gavin and Bush. I mean, it was the guy from Bush, and it was like, it was crazy. And they weren't even together, but like for some reason they were like at that concert together. Anyway, it was just one of those shows that was amazing. And then, I don't think he'll ever forget the Paul McCartney concert that I took him to at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah,
that was really.
John and I were talking about it before the show started. Like Paul McCartney, just as a side, because I saw he posted on social that he's doing a show with Rick Rubin. So him and Rick Rubin, and I was like, oh my God, like two of my favorite people in the world. A show, it was just mind blowing. And John and I like, did you see the Paul McCartney Dodger show? I'm like, I saw Paul McCartney every single time that he ever toured, because
I will now.
I always thought, this may be the last time that you get to see the greatest living musician. It's arguable for anybody, and I'll welcome everybody's challenge on that, but I don't think there's anybody bigger in music that's alive right now than Paul McCartney. And when he's gone,
it's sort of hard to imagine a world without
Ringo?
Paul McCartney.
I don't know.
All respect to Ringo, but
no, I love Ringo, and I was telling you that I saw him many times in concert too. And then I went to this book thing that he released, this book of photos where he found a trunk in his mom's house, something like that, and then this and he released his book. So I saw him doing this like book tour thing too. But anyway, digress. Paul McCartney for sure.
They're both fantastic.
Unbelievable.
I've been able to see them both in recent years, and again, living legends. I mean, if you can see them, definitely.
It's true. Like it's a certain point, and sometimes it's a little disappointing. Like I'll admit that I've taken Elijah to a few shows of people that we liked. Like we went to a Hall & Oates show, and I like Hall & Oates quite a bit.
Love Hall & Oates,
but he doesn't sing like he used to. The guys get older. Like it's just like and
he's got Lyme disease too.
Does he? Yeah. So he's a great artist, and I know he's a great songwriter, and that was a little disappointing. I mean, we're just happy to be there because we love the music, but sometimes
it's usually
like,
pretty good. He's got that show that he does, Daryl's House or something like that.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's great content. Yeah, very cool. Shout out to that. Absolutely. Well, as we talked to earlier, guys, the live music, we're all can't wait for it to come.
Oh, yeah. I'm all over. I have so many shows that I had tickets to that got canceled.
Yeah.
At a New Order,
I had Guns N' Roses.
Boys.
I had Guns N' Roses at the new stadium, the new football stadium, and that got canceled.
Yeah, I got like 6. I was going to see Alanis Morissette doing.
Oh man, that's great.
That show will be great, right?
Jagged Little Pill.
The Jagged Little Pill tour. I've got the New Order and Pet Shop Boys tickets. I've got a Billie Eilish show.
I had Billie Eilish.
We had bought so many tickets. Anyway.
They'll be back. It'll be
They'll be
back.
back.
And
Everything's
it'll
going to be
better
back
than ever.
and with a
Yeah,
vengeance. Yeah,
absolutely.
it'll be exciting.
Back to questions. What has cannabis meant in your life?
So many things over the course of my experience. Now that it's close to 20 years, it's been a bridge to relationships and to music and to culture and to certain things I don't know that I'd have been exposed to or prepared for otherwise. And later, and especially more recently into my career with getting behind producing these events and having sort of what started as a curiosity turn into more of a calling and an understanding that there was a responsibility behind getting people to understand the truth behind 80 years of very specific intentional programming and demification around what we know is an ancient healing miracle plant. So it means a lot. It means a bright future. I think it can mean a lot for our country, both in healthcare and economy. I'm encouraged that people are starting to get, wise to understanding why and sort of how we've gotten here. I know it's still a long road to climb, but for people to really truly get what's been going on since 1937 and the industries that have kept this away and we can't talk about that stuff without understanding the full scope of its impact on our culture and society, from the war on drugs to the private prison industry to the military industrial complex, etc. And this plant and cannabis can mean so much on healing so much of this stuff. Even I saw something, probably within the last year. I mean, time is so strange these days. I don't remember quite when I read it, but they're planting hemp around in Japan, around where the nuclear bombs, because the hemp
they
will
got that from
absorb the
Chernobyl.
radiation.
They got that from Chernobyl. So all in the Chernobyl area, they planted hemp to be able to.
It's unbelievable. It will pull the toxins from the earth. And it's we could go on a tangent on so many levels, from food to fuel to fiber and homes, and it's really it's a phenomenal plant. So it's a beautiful future.
Well, I'm gonna ask John's favorite question. He loves when I ask this question.
Yeah.
So he won't let me do the show if I don't ask this.
Oh yeah. Please. Is that true? Now, we talked about whether we're going to keep this question. I like this question. You've made me a liker of this question.
I like this question, but the reason why it becomes a challenge, because a lot of people don't remember. I find it fascinating, so I'm curious. So the bonus question is, describe what your room looked like growing up, if you can.
My room growing up, from which ages? I shared a room for many ages, or for many years at a younger age, and then I guess when I old enough to be able to make it my own, I guess that should be the real answer, right? Like
last year.
it was covered with stuff, magazines and posters and rappers.
Like
and
what
rock
kind?
stars
Like
and,
was it music?
Oh man, music and definitely sports too. I was a very contradicted 90s kid from New York who loved the Knicks and also loved Michael Jordan, so there was that
battle.
Contradiction.
It was like a Patrick Ewing
on my wall,
also a Jordan poster and a Patrick Ewing poster.
Yes. And many rappers and rock stars like littered throughout with just like Razor in the magazine and tacking them up.
Do you remember any of the specific ones, like you mentioned?
Man, definitely Guns N' Roses, the Rolling Stones, Iggy Pop, James Brown, and then all of like the New York golden era greats from Wu-Tang and Biggie and Nas and AZ and all that cast of characters.
Got it.
Yeah, and of course there was the other section that
You didn't
was
have the adult section with
I was gonna say
Playboy
the
Center?
the
Girls.
bikini and swimsuit
Right.
area.
Nobody ever
was
mentions
also
that
I'm
section
old.
of their wall.
I'm
That
old,
was
so you know,
there.
I had a poster of Heather Thomas in a bikini.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers who that is, but if anybody does,
Go to
Google it.
Google.
Thomas.
Yeah.
It's an image of her with her
I'm looking her up.
like moving her her bikini, and it was like Heather Locklear
World
and Heather
changing.
Thomas.
Yeah.
That's the
She's
one.
a good one. Where was she in? Was she of Charlie's
Um,
Angel or something? She looks like
She was
that
not in
era.
Charlie's Angels. I don't remember what she was in.
Doesn't matter.
But the poster was
First
good.
of all, when
That
you
was
have the name
definitely
Heather Thomas, you have to be hot because you just can't have the name Heather
Heathers, all the
Thomas.
Heathers. They even made the whole movie. Yeah.
It's
Heathers,
true.
that's
Heathers
right.
are always hot. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Name your kid Heather.
There was that section, and it was definitely the first section to come down. You know, the sports stuff
sure.
and the rapper music stuff stayed up a little bit longer.
Right.
You know, in the folks'
gotta-
house, but the
Well, when your
you gotta-
girlfriend comes over and you have a Heather
Yeah.
Thomas poster up, it's a little
after a
awkward.
while they don't
I
want
always did. I never thought
Yeah.
about it.
You're like,
They don't wanna
oh, you
look
like
at
kind of
that.
block it in.
Yeah.
You forget.
So,
Yeah.
Matt, thanks so much
Thanks,
for joining
Matt.
us. Where
Yeah,
can people
Jonathan, Len,
find
great
more
to- great to
about
talk to you
you
guys.
or get in contact with you or
Yeah.
anything that
Absolutely. You know, I'm on Instagram. It's at Roninology, which is RONINOLOGY, and that I think is also the YouTube channel, which has got some cool content up there from years past, and our events are probably, you know, there might even be the panel that you were on. I think might even be up there from years Vegas Cannabis Summit fame or infamy, as it were, years ago. And you know, I'm around. The website's byronin.com. I'm pretty easily searched through the interwebs and found through those ways. So happy to connect with anybody. And it's been great chatting with you, gentlemen. Congratulations on the show. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you.
Awesome, brother.
continued many episodes. You know.
Thank you for joining
Please-
us, and happy holidays, man. And thank you,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Come visit LA, man. When this.
Oh,
whole
I
thing blows
can't wait.
over.
It's very high on my list of the places to check in on with my family and friends out there. But please keep me posted on the guest. Well, I was going to call in on the people
Oh,
gone too soon.
Yeah, we'll keep you
Yeah,
posted.
people
man.
gone too soon.
Gone too soon.
So many.
Brilliant artists that
I know.
Cool.
deserve that recognition. So, but thank you, gentlemen. Happy
All right,
holidays to
thanks,
you and your
brother.
families as well, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too. Take care.
You
Rock
too.
on. All right.
Good to see you, man. Great guy.
That was cool,
You always have
yeah.
such good guests. You know a lot of really cool people.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that took a lot longer than what I did. And
It's all good.
I think these are my squirrel moments that come in. Like I intend to
interesting.
ask 3 questions, but like I'm curious about things, and it's sort of like you know, we were going to talk about superpowers, and sort of like my superpower, I think, of multitasking, but also it can be detrimental thing because you keep digging more, and
Thinking more.
I'm not aware of time.
Well,
Like
that's
time
why-
is a different concept to me than a lot of people.
Right. Well, that's why I'm there as your host
Well, thank you.
slash producer.
you.
I was saying,
it's-
just wanted
it's
to
funny.
let you know. Yeah.
It's funny because like in terms of time, so I had this whole interaction with my ex-girlfriend, and I would always say I'll be there in 20 minutes. My concept of 20 minutes is I think it's 20 minutes, but sometimes it's like 40 minutes. I don't have a really good concept of what 20 minutes seems like. It's 20 minutes. So after a while, she was like, "Is it 20 minutes or is it your 20 minutes?" It's my 20 minutes. Which means
By the way,
like,
speaking of multitasking, so during this whole thing, my kids keep texting me. I keep saying, I'm on a podcast, guys. They're like, well, we want to order dinner. And I say, fine, just fucking order dinner. Like, I'm on a podcast. Like, and so then they just wrote back, okay, we ordered. I'm like, cool. What'd you get me? Oh, we didn't order for you. I was like, this is just the
you didn't ask.
respect.
You didn't say order
Right.
for me too. No respect.
Right. I hate that. Freaking
Hey, are you
kids
wearing
anyway.
a cool shirt today? We didn't do the shirts.
Yeah, we didn't do the shirt. So this shirt it's just a funny shirt. I'm going to rise slowly because it's a bit of an optical illusion.
Your donut Dodger shirt.
It's a donuts. It's a Dodgers logo, but it says donuts. And funny story that I'm not going to drop names here because it's not even that interesting a name to drop. But I did a summer camp thing with my daughter a few summers ago where, you know, for a weekend, bunch of dads and their daughters go to this thing called Camp Hollywoodland, and they kind of, you know, hang out. It's really cute. It's a summer camp for girls, but you go with your dad, and we stay in a bunk and everything. Anyway, the mayor of the city happened to be up there with his daughter that weekend, Mayor Garcetti. And I got to know him a little bit, and I wore this shirt, and he called me, he couldn't remember my name. So he started calling me Johnny Donuts. And so the mayor calls me Johnny Donuts.
There you go. And you got a Johnny Donuts shirt.
That was when the people liked the mayor. Now people don't like the mayor as much.
I don't mind the mayor. It's fine.
He's all right. He's got a lot on his plate. He's just a very nice guy.
He's a nice guy. I met him a couple of times too.
So what shirt are you wearing?
I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, it's a VW bus, and it says Prodigy.
That's it.
Is it Prodigy?
The Prodigy, yeah.
Oh, I love Prodigy.
It's the Prodigy, yes.
Oh
so
my God.
Big ups to Keith Flint, who passed away last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He was the lead guy, the one. If you ever see the videos like for Smack My Bitch Up and all that other stuff. By the way, there's a whole Beastie Boys story about that.
Really?
I don't remember. Yeah, because they wouldn't. So Beastie Boys, and I don't remember which, maybe it's Glastonbury Festival. So I think it was I think it was MCA Adam that had an issue with the song, and they asked him not to perform it. And I was, and they came out and performed it.
Oh, Prodigy.
Yeah, they're like, no, fuck you. We're performing that song. That's our hit. And he goes, you never listen to lyrics. It's not about, you know, beating women. It's actually against that.
Right.
And that's what he was trying to explain. But, you know, Adam was a big humanitarian, and he was very against all those kind of things. So had a big thing with.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was
it's pretty hard for the Beastie Boys to. I mean, I get that they had to change, and I saw the documentary, but you know all the shit they did when they were younger.
Come on.
For them to then tell Prodigy they can't go and do a song. It's a little bit. You can't censor
girls. Listen to the whole License to Ill album. Really,
it's like the worst. And I know they're embarrassed by that in a lot of ways, but
they shouldn't be.
They don't have a whole lot of ground to. Yeah, that was their evolution. I don't think they should be embarrassed about it at all.
Yeah, but
anyway, they were imitating. It was a show. They were putting on a show. They were imitating the douchebags that they they were playing characters in the early part of their career.
Exactly. And it's fine, but I get it. But Keith Flint, yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of Prodigy. I remember back in the day, I saw them at the Limelight in New York. It was a fantastic show. Like they were playing in the club. Madonna was there. It was crazy. So
they had such a great sound. Shout out. What's your favorite Prodigy song?
I love Firestarter.
Yeah. What's up? Breathe the pressure. Don't bring the game on chest.
Yeah.
That's Breathe, right? Or Breathe.
Breathe. Yeah. Breathe. Psychosomatic.
Yeah.
And Smack My Bitch.
Next one, I'm going to play you a track that I have never seen anywhere. I found a 12-inch of a Prodigy 12-inch that I bought in early 90s that I don't know. I don't know.
It's that
exists.
The first like the early album where they had Fight the Battle of Jericho, and they would do that what the hell was that sample from Iron Shirt? I'll remember. It's a reggae song that I think it's a Battle of Jericho, but it's Get the Devil Out of Earth. You know that reggae song. So they did a techno version of it.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
They're awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my Prodigy story. So I have a question. I know we're taking it's a long show already, but this show called Big Mouth.
Big Mouth.
Big Mouth. So I just finished watching season 2. And I'm not going to give it away. There's a lot of cliffhangers there, really, really a lot of interesting stuff on this show. But you just watched season 1, correct?
No, I had watched season 1, and then I think we're on season 4. What season are we on?
I don't know what season. Whatever the last season.
You just watched the last season, right?
The last season. Is this season 3?
I think so. Season 3 or 4.
All right.
And I watched a lot of the last season. So when they go to summer camp, right?
Yeah. So there's the reason why I bring it up, several reasons. Number one is the theme song is Changes by Charles Bradley that I played on a previous episode of Have You Heard, where Charles Bradley did a cover of um, a Black Sabbath song that was sung by Ozzy, Changes.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
in the episode, in one of the episodes, instead of the Charles Bradley version, they actually play the Black Sabbath and Ozzy version of that. So I was like, man, that's freaking cool.
We got to bring them on the show. We got to bring, we love that show.
I love that show, man. That's Nick
Kroll.
Kroll, yeah. What an amazing show. All those people. It's
the
so
writing
funny.
is incredible. Yeah.
But the reason why I wanted to ask you about that, because we both have kids and both have, teen kids. So how do you feel about your kids watching Big Mouth?
Now this may give me the award for the worst parent of the year, but I actually have no problem with them watching a show like Big Mouth. I'd much rather them watch a show like Big Mouth than like some violent, sadistic. I actually don't really censor anything that they watch. I don't. Big Mouth to me is actually one of the most honest shows that you could watch. I think they find it very hard to watch it with me because it's so embarrassing, especially my 15-year-old. I mean, it's right on the nose, right? Like they're right. Like the kids in that show are his age, basically, like maybe a little bit younger. And I mean, so I think it's actually one of the more instructive shows. And if they had a show like that on when we were kids,
I like instructive. I like that.
Can you imagine a show like that when we were kids being on with like animated characters that talk about masturbation and anal sex? I mean, whatever it is, it's
everything.
Like everything. It's like no holds barred. It's hilarious. It's very funny and so honest. So I think it's a terrific show. And my son sort of discovered it on his own, I think, or not even on his own. I'm sure his friends told him, but whatever. Right. But he was watching, like he watches things now without me knowing it, like on his computer or whatever on his phone. So he had already knew about it. So I have no problem. I don't know if my daughter 11 would even really get it. She might start to get it.
Do you hear my dog barking in the background?
He loves Big Mouth. He's basically telling me that I love this show.
No, she's barking because I have people walked in, like cleaning people, and she hates the vacuum. So I'm gonna mute myself for a second and shut her up for a second. Hold on one second.
She loves to talk. Hey, it's just me. Hi, everybody. I'm gonna pause while Len does something else.
She's back.
All right. Oh, she's happy now that you have her on your lap.
Yeah,
she just kind of missed her.
She hates the vacuum cleaner. So whenever there's a vacuum cleaner, she like freaks out.
Fucking vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, so I completely agree with Big Mouth. My daughter, we will watch it together up until like this season. And she's like, "Nah, I'm gonna watch on my own.
I'm good." Yeah.
I'm like, all right,
does your daughter give you a lot of "I'm good"? I'm good. I'm cool.
She's like, "I'm good. Yeah, I'll watch it. Yeah, I got it.
He doesn't want to watch anything with me anymore. It's so sad. My daughter will, but she would be too embarrassed to watch that one with me. I think. It's too.
Well, we have shows. We have go-to shows, and when there's like a sex scene, we kind of look away and don't.
Yeah, we're like, we fast forward. We were trying to think of do you remember that movie Love Actually?
Yeah.
So we were trying to think of a good Christmas movie to watch this year. And I know that's like a Christmas movie, and my kids liked, they like some of the Hugh Grant movies from the 90s. And so I wondered if that would be an appropriate one. I'm sure it is very inappropriate.
It's not appropriate. The best is Christmas Vacation, man. That's the one to go to.
That's the one to watch.
I love that. It's so funny. It's got everything. It's so inappropriate. It's got Eddie, who's like the shitter's full, like
right.
All that.
Maybe we'll watch Christmas Vacation instead, or like Christmas Story. Yeah.
Well, Christmas Story is not as edgy. Like
no,
this is funny and edgy.
Yeah. That's a good call. So no Love Actually. You do Christmas Vacation.
I mean, I'm not into it's a
comedies.
fine movie. There's rom-coms. That's what my daughter loves. That's her go-to. She loves rom-coms.
Right.
So Big Mouth, absolutely, yes, for sure.
Yes.
I completely
thumbs
agree.
up on this season.
If anybody's kind of weirded out about having conversations with their kids about sex or masturbation, just put on Big Mouth. You don't have to have a conversation.
It's all there.
It's all there. It's done for you.
Yeah.
So it's
probably more deviant than I certainly ever was. Yeah.
So I have a question for you in terms of go-to music, and I'll tell you why. So my daughter likes sad music. She likes all kinds of music, but music that she connects to has an emotional sadness overtone.
Interesting.
Like Billie Eilish, to me, has a sadness to it,
Yeah,
right? So
definitely.
there's a certain energy that you get. So her mom had a conversation with her about you shouldn't listen to sad music because then you create sad energy and it's negative vibrating energy and blah blah blah. And I was thinking to myself, man, I love sad music. I love happy music too, to dance to. But if I'm connecting to a song, that emotion that comes through, like I'm watching the back of me is Alice in Chains, Lane Stanley. I mean, if you listen to the lyrics, even though a lot of them are written by Jerry Cantrell, the sadness, even Rooster, like all their songs, the sadness of the way it's delivered, it connects to me. And a lot of that music, Radiohead was behind me too. I can't say that's like happy dance music. There's a sadness. There's a vibrational energy that connects with me. So my go-to music when I was looking at my playlists, except if it's a hip hop, like obviously, but and if it's anything I want to really like just drive and listen to in the car, but that music that really resonates with me has that air of sadness to that. So I wanted to ask you, are you more of
Yeah,
a
I think
happy
that's
music or a sad music?
no, I don't. I definitely don't listen to like happy, upbeat party music. Like that's not. I mean, you're right. Hip hop oftentimes, but hip hop is always. There's a lot of. I don't know if it's sad, but there's a lot of emotion in it, especially
Yeah.
the early stuff. Um, yeah, I don't. I definitely, with all due respect to your wife here, I don't agree with her
Ex-wife,
ex-wife.
please.
Sorry,
Let's be,
sorry, with the
please.
ex-wife here. I don't agree with that. I think that it's very important for kids to be able to be in touch with all their emotions. And I
Yeah.
think why, you're going to be sad in your life and why limit your experience. I think music is a great way of dealing with your sadness and helping,
Yeah.
sort of finding like, it's like you have a companion in your sadness. I mean, look, when we were teenagers, I used to love to listen to sad music when I was a teenager, especially like after I broke up with somebody, like just, I don't know, I would torture myself and just like listen to like soundtracks like of our, the songs that we listened to together,
Yeah.
and then just like cry. And, and I don't know if
Just
those were like,
any John Hughes
it was
movie
like,
that ever
yeah, it was
was.
like a
That's
companion. I mean, honestly, it's embarrassing, but my high school girlfriend and I, our song was "Against All Odds" by Phil Collins, and it's one of the worst songs. Actually, it's not a
I
bad song,
love
but
that song. It's a
it's a
great
good song.
song.
I shouldn't say it's a bad song. I love Phil Collins, but I still cannot hear that song without getting like slightly choked up. I don't even really remember dating her that much, but that song had such an impact on me, and I listened to it so many times when I was sad that now I just associate it with sad feelings. But it's like a companion. Like sad songs are like a companion when you're sad. I think that they help
I
you get
completely
in touch with
agree.
it. So I'm with you. I sometimes a sad song comes on the radio and I'm in my car and I'm like, I can't listen to this right now. It's just taking me way back to in a place I don't necessarily want to go. But I think there's a time for all of them.
Yeah, and I definitely think that we should do an episode and come up with like our top 10 sort of sad
Yeah, it would be the
songs.
saddest. We should do like a
Just
Valentine's episode, like love songs, our favorite love
yeah,
songs.
sad love song. It's a breakup
Yeah.
song. It's during Valentine's. It'd be so appropriate.
Oh man, I have a lot of sad songs. But it was interesting when you said hip hop. I was trying to think, is there a lot of sad hip hop? There's not really sad hip hop.
Well,
Like, yeah,
there's emotion. Like even
yeah,
if
it's
you think,
emotional.
what would be a good example? Ghetto Boys. Okay, so I'm just off the top of my head. My mind's playing tricks on me.
Yeah,
If you listen to that song, man, that's got so much.
it's intense.
It's intense,
Yeah.
raw emotion, but not happy.
No,
That
it's
is a
not a
lot of
happy.
sadness. There's a lot of
Yeah, it's a
sadness
lot
and
of sadness.
darkness
It's
to
not
that
like
song.
tearjerker type of love songs in hip hop so much because that's not really the vibe. I mean, LL Cool J tried to do a few. I
need love.
right? That was like the first like old school sad song. But no,
There
you're
need to be
right.
ballads.
It's
There
the
are guys like,
opposite of happy. It's like this. It's almost it's not in the kind of
well,
love
there's a
song.
guy who passed away, Extinction, whatever his name is. I'm probably butchering
Oh,
it.
was he an LA rapper?
Yeah.
Exhibit? Was it Exhibit? No, that's
No,
different.
Exhibit is actually like,
Still with us.
yeah, he's still with us, and I know him, sort of, but no, it's XXX, three X's,
Uh-huh. Okay.
Extinction. I'm butchering the name most likely, but I think he got shot a couple years ago here in LA, And if you listen to his music, a lot of it's about suicide and a lot of about
Depression.
different drug use,
Yeah.
but pills, like certain pills that they're associated with sadness. And I listen to lyrics. It's not the beats behind it don't match what he's saying. So the beats are, they're kind of, you can groove to the beat, but the lyrics, if you listen to it, man, there's a lot of pain in those kind of, it's heavy. So there are some, and if you listen to like Tyler, the Creator, there's some interesting songs that he has. I think people just don't listen to lyrics anymore. Like when I talk to my daughter's friends and hip hop, they're like, man, this is just a beat. Like, listen to it. You can dance to this. And maybe back in the day we did the same thing. There's music that you just dance to, but you didn't pay attention to lyrics. Yeah. But I honestly can't understand a lot of the lyrics because they're so auto-tuned and so odd.
The mumbly,
it's hard,
the mumble rap.
It's hard to understand.
Yeah.
And I was listening, even if you listen to like Travis Scott, The Highest One in the Room, that song, which has an incredible video to that, I highly recommend it. There's a sad undertone to that song too, because he obviously is expressing the experience of being under the influence of something. So I find that interesting.
Yeah, at one point hip hop went from a lot of major keys to a lot of minor keys. I've always kind of wondered, when did that start happening? Because it's definitely in the last 10, 15 years where like all the vibe of it is all in a kind of a minor notes. So it kind of gives it a little bit more of a sad vibe than, some of the stuff that we like. Like, Tribe Called Quest, like it's like super upbeat. It's not party music, but it's, it's happy.
It's happy.
Thumping music,
Sure.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. I'm all for sad songs. Yeah.
All right.
Tell your daughter she's doing right.
She's doing right. I tell her all the time, nobody should ever censor your musical choices. Whatever it is that you want to listen to, whatever you gravitate to, whatever it may be, go for it.
If a song's telling you to commit suicide or something, then maybe, I don't know. Like,
well, what a song
does the song do that? No.
Yeah. There was a whole lawsuit about that, about Mr. Crowley, an Ozzy Osbourne song. There was a kid that committed suicide, and they sued the I think the record label by this song.
But I don't
actually made.
Baloney.
It's like there's
it's
no
like
way
when songs incite violence. No,
is that the Tupac? It was the same thing with Tupac, exactly. Where he was saying his song incited violence against the police and Ice-T.
Songs are reflecting the violence. To me, they reflect the violence. They don't cause it.
Doesn't incite anything. I agree. Right. You want to do or have you heard?
Yeah. So now let's drop that theme song. Have you heard? I got to put it in my you know what I'll do? I'll put that in my my little Magic Road mix master here, so I can just press a button and we get a sound like this. Well, that's my chirping sound. But this is like, it's like a sort of morning radio.
I love that, by the way. I love the whole thing with the sound effects.
Yeah, it's great. So this is my transition sound effect. Okay, we are about to, it's great.
Thank you, Mr. Fred Norris.
Thank you, Fred Norris. That was awesome. All right, so you go first. Okay. As tradition will have it, you want to share your screen?
Yeah, let me just.
Hopefully this works. Where's Adam when you need him?
I think I got it down. All right, so I'm going to share the song. You may have heard it because it was actually picked up by a company that.
I hate when companies do that. I was going to actually ask Matt about that because he said he used to do music for commercials, and there's nothing ruins a song more than when you hear it then in your favorite car. It's in your car commercial and you're like, no.
A band sometimes wants to get paid. I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
When you're a band that's struggling, okay, but when you're a band like Guns N' Roses or one of those, do you really need to do that with your music, or like Led Zeppelin? You probably don't need to. I think you have enough money and you should really keep that music. But my opinion, I don't know. All right, ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
See, I've been a bad, 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 bad
That's really good. Yeah, that's kind of like take like a James Brown riff, but kind of modernize it.
Exactly. Yeah. So the reason why I chose that, different reasons, but I really like the band. It's called The Heavy.
The Heavy.
The song is called How You Like Me Now. They have a couple really, really great tracks, and they have a new album out too. What do you think about the hairstyle of having a little thing of hair on the bald head? Can I pull that off?
I thought at first it was a mole, but then I just realized that it was even better than a mole.
Yeah, it was. So the guy's name is Kelvin. I forgot his last name.
He's the coolest.
Yeah, so they sort of take blues and they funk it up. They have a couple different songs. So I know we had this conversation about blues. I'm going to begin to introduce the style, the genre of blues.
You are starting to get me into blues. Way. Yeah, I don't know what's happening, but you have started to get me into blues. It's terrible. Here, I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
I can. Yes.
And we'll get into my song now. This is a woman that was introduced to me. I call her.
By the way, did you like that song?
Oh, I really liked it. That was cool. How you like me now? Yeah. It's also a really cool video because they're like in a forest and there's like Little Red Riding Hood is stalking them. It's kind of cool. All right, my song today is it's kind of a modern thing. So there's a woman by the name of Elise Trow who was actually introduced to me by a friend of mine who's a music producer out here who's been very successful. And she had approached him. I don't know why he told me this, but she had approached him about maybe producing something for her. So he kind of found out about her. And she's one of these kind of YouTube sensations that makes really good music, who is also really good with social media and is extremely attractive. But that goes without saying. And she is also super talented. So I feel like we've discovered her on this show. Like she's going to be like the next Billie Eilish, but I will let you, this is not an original composition by her, but what she likes to do sometimes is she likes to, and I really encourage you to watch this video. It's called The Foo Fighters Meets 70s Bobby Caldwell, Elise Trout. And what she does, you'll see. So she samples herself playing different instruments. You showed me something similar this last time, where they sample themselves playing little riffs and then they put it on a loop and then they go play the next instrument, right? Yeah. So here she goes. I think if you can't hear this, I'm going to just kill myself. Can you hear it? You can't hear it? No. Now, what were you doing with the sound sharing? How do you do that again?
Yeah, when you share screen, right before you press share, there's a little button all the way to the left, a little check. You have to check that share sound. So when you click on screen.
Yeah, I share screen.
So you see all the way to the left.
Share sound, yep.
There we go.
Okay, here we go. Technical difficulties, but John Small has figured it out. All right. And we're going to rewind. Can you hear it? So she just like loops it.
I guess you wonder where I've been. I searched to find a love within. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you. What is wrong with me? Well, I'm in a daze from your love, you see. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let go. Some people go around the world.
Anyway, she plays the drums too. Did you like it?
I love it, man.
Isn't she cool?
First of all, I love Bobby Caldwell.
Me too.
And I love Foo Fighters too, and that's one of my favorite, Everlong, one of my favorite Foo Fighters.
I
songs.
thought it was such a creative combination. I know I played a mashup.
It's a great
last
mashup.
time,
Yeah, it's a great mashup.
but it's a live mashup, and she's super talented. I think
I love this whole thing with the loops, man.
Yeah, this is the thing now.
I went to see Ed Sheeran at the Hollywood Bowl, and the Hollywood Bowl, what does it fit like 10,000 people? I don't even know how many.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big venue. I mean, the guy's standing on stage by himself,
Right.
with 2 microphones and guitar, and he's looping himself and creating the track as he's
Amazing.
playing. I thought it was amazing. Yeah, sorry,
That's how he's. Yeah, that's always. I'm so glad he keeps doing that, because I think apparently when he was first starting out, he played a lot of shows in L.A.
Yeah.
At the in Hollywood, and he would do that. He would kind of have these loops, and he would play, like what she's doing.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. I mean, it's sort of like Matt's point about how he misses bands, but nowadays you don't really have to have a band, because you can just play every instrument like she does, and then put it on a loop and basically create your own band in your bedroom, which is the video of her. But
it's amazing.
It's
I
still
love
pretty
that kind of
incredible, and I just think it's really innovative and fun to watch, and it was creative. So I wanted to share that with you, and I wanted to share that with
I wrote it
your
down.
listeners.
I wrote it down, and I'm going to share with my daughter, because I think
she might like her, or she'll just be like, that girl's way too pretty to be talented. She's got it all.
I don't think so. Because my daughter's kind of pretty, and she's pretty talented. I know a lot of kids these days that are. Yeah, you can be both.
They can have it all.
Kids, you can be both. You can be pretty and talented.
It's funny though. I was reading the comments, and people couldn't get over in that video the fact they're like, get a hair clip. And now I see
really?
because the whole time she's pushing her hair out of her face, but it's so stupid. I know, it's so dumb. People always find the silliest things.
So I had a conversation with a black friend of mine who was shocked to find out that Bobby Caldwell is not black.
That is, that is an episode that we should do. People who really just basically should be black but aren't, and how stunned you are when you hear.
I never even thought about it.
Bobby Caldwell is not black is absolutely shocking. I think I just found it out fairly recently, because that's one of my favorite 70s kind of soft rock songs, and yeah, I mean, how is that guy not black? It's just incredible. There's a few people like
you can have soul and
soul. I mean, he's just doing a very good imitation of.
There's soulful white guys and the Jewish guys, and you name it.
Well, the whole yacht rock thing is just a bunch of white guys pretending to be doing black music.
Yeah, I don't know about the soul of some of those guys, but maybe I'm
Michael
open
McDonald.
to being. Yeah, Michael McDonald is freaking soulful as hell.
He's right. Soulful as hell, and he's a white dude. But if you heard his black, you might think
he goes back
black.
to the blues too. So if you think about it, in a lot of the British bands, especially if you look at them, even the Black Keys, who are not British, who are from Ohio. I mean, there was so much soul in 2 people. It's a band of 2 guys, and they put up that soul. And so
Rick Astley sounds black, but he's not.
He does.
He sounds like exactly. I thought he was when I first heard the song.
Yes, maybe that's a good episode for us to do.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how controversial it'll be, but we'll see.
Well, I think we've
hit our limit. This is a great episode. It had it all. It had entertainment. It had music. It had cannabis. I mean, and it's free of charge. So what else can you want from a podcast?
Well, happy holidays to you. Happy holidays to our listeners. I don't know. I think we have like a show before Christmas. That's coming up.
We should do our predictions. Yeah. We can do the best of and the worst of 2020.
Best of, worst of. We can do the underrated, overrated
2020 things. Yeah, that would be good. Maybe up 2020, and then things that we're looking forward to in 21. Our predictions. I've got a few predictions for 21.
Hey, so listeners, viewers, please write in the comments. Let us know if you have any ideas for us. Subscribe if you like it. Share with your friends. Always grateful for everybody's feedback. And this was fun, man. Appreciate it.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Thank you, and happy holidays to you. And we will see you on the other end of not 2020, because I'll see you right before 2020 on the other end of Christmas.
You got it, brother.
All right, man. Peace.